So now I want to show you how to work with photomerge in this movie tutorial. The photomerge feature isn't exactly new. It's been around in Photoshop for a few versions now. And the main difference with the photomerge in CS4 is there is no longer a interactive dialog to work with, which is a good thing because the various layout projection options that you have available are really all that you need. And the other big improvement is that photomerge will now work with certain types of wide-angle or fisheye lenses to align these types of photographs together. So generally the alignment has just got better with this new version. So how do we photomerge? Well, there are several ways you can do this. Here we have the images that are available on the DVD selected at the moment in Bridge. If I go to the Tools menu and down to the Photoshop submenu, you can see that I can select photomerge from there. And in the photomerge dialog, you can see that the files have already been selected here as the source files to use, and down the bottom there are the options down here to blend the images together as part of the process, as well as choosing vignette removal and geometric distortion correction. And on the left we have the various layout projection options that you can select, and then once you're happy with that you click OK. Well, I'm not going to choose that method. I'm going to show you how you can do it now in Photoshop, so I'm going to instead just open them up directly into Photoshop. So we've got all the images open here, and let's just view them all at once. What I can do now is go to the File menu and choose Automate, and from the Automate submenu again we have Photomerge, which will open up the Photomerge dialog, and you have the button here for adding open files, which will then load those open images up as the source files. Then again the same options as we had before for the different layout projection options and the blending options down at the bottom. But I'm not going to choose that method either. I'm just going to show you a third way you can do that, which is to go to the File menu and choose from the Script submenu Load Files into Stack. This will give us the load layers to work with, where if I click on the Add Open Files button, I'm just going to do that. I won't select these options down here. I'm going to just simply bring all these images in as layers into a single image document. You can see the processing going to work, so that we now end up over here, if we look at the layers panel, a single image which is made up of all the four images that were formerly open, all added as layers. And now that I've done that, I'm just going to close down all those other windows because we don't need to have those open anymore. So let me just get rid of those for now. Keep that one open, close that one down and close that one down there, and then just go to full screen mode. And the next stage is to select all of these layers. So if I hold down the Shift key and then click on the bottommost layer, we have all those layers selected. Now that I've done that, I can go to the Edit menu and choose to align the layers. So I'll select Auto Align Layers. And 9 times out of 10 you want to choose the Auto option here as your layout projection method. And you'll notice that there are the additional options down here for vignette removal and geometric distortion. These will add to the time that it takes to process the photograph, but you will quite often find it's worth having these selected because they will just fine-tune the alignment to produce the best possible results. So let's go with the Auto option, click OK. And Photoshop will now just start to calculate how to align the individual layers together to produce a finished panoramic image. And there's the result that we get. The only thing you can see at the moment is that if I enlarge up the image to 100%, although we've got a pretty good photo merge here, you can just see these outline edges. Well, the next stage is to blend the layers together to get the best results. So if I make sure that all the layers are still selected, then go to the Edit menu and choose the Auto Blend Layers option. We have two options down here, one for stack images, which was the option that was selected in the other movie tutorial where I showed you how to achieve the depth of field blending. But because this is a panoramic image, then we need to select the panorama blend method. So I'll click OK to that, and Photoshop will then just basically calculate how to blend those layers together. And when it's done that, you can see here that it's very cleverly added a layer mask to each of those individual layers, so that at any one point in the image there's only one layer that's actually being used to create the view that we see here. and it's quite magical the way it does this, but you can see that the finished result looks pretty well perfect, and if I zoom in close, I don't think we can see any signs of any joins anywhere in the photograph as we scroll around. So that shows basically how simple a photo merge can be. You've got the three different methods. You can either go directly from Bridge to choose photo merge, you can go to the automate file automate menu in Photoshop, or choose the stacks align method, and then you can choose the line images and follow that with the blend as I've shown you here. So I'm going to close that down now and show you when and where we would use some of the other different options that are available for the layout projection. Let's go down to select these photographs down here at the bottom. I'm just going to open these up into Photoshop as well and just repeat the same steps as before. So I will choose to load these files into a stack to begin with. Let's choose Add Open Files, click OK. Here is the stacked image. I'll select all of the layers there and then just close down all the other files because we don't need to have those open any longer. And just working with this one image, I'm going to choose different align options again. So if I go to the edit menu, let's just check again, those are aligned still. Yep, we still got those selected. Go to the edit menu and choose to auto align layers. And I'll start with the auto option with vignette removal and geometric distortion selected. Click OK. And you can see here is the finished result. If I just zoom out a little bit so you can see how the photograph looks. We know that we can get rid of the edges that you see here through using the auto blend layers. That's not a problem. But the big problem here, if I bring up the rulers, is if I drag a guide down, you can see that we've got a lot of curvature on the horizon line using the auto methods. So it hasn't been quite so successful. So if I undo that to go back to where we were before, let's go to the edit menu and choose auto align layers again. And this time I'll try the perspective option and see what happens there, again with the vignette removal and the geometric distortion option checked. Click OK. And now we've got a slightly better result. If I just zoom out there, we can check the horizon line again, and I think that the horizon there is not too bad. Maybe it might be slightly curving, but it's hard to tell because don't forget the line of the coast here is actually curving as well. But that looks a little bit better than it was before. Perspective can work quite well in a lot of cases. You have to be careful when you're working with photographs that have been shot with a wide-angle lens. You might get some unusual results there. But let me just undo that and then try going to the edit menu again and choose auto align layers. And this time I'm going to try the cylindrical option because I know that for panoramas of this type where you're shooting long panoramas or trying to create long panoramas like I am here, the cylindrical option is usually going to be the better one for, or the most successful option for merging or for aligning these types of panoramic images. So we'll just see what happens with this layout projection. And I think you agree if I just enlarge that up slightly and then bring down the ruler guide to have a look, you can see now that we have actually got a pretty good horizon line there. So as I predicted, the cylindrical option in this case is going to produce a better result compared to using the auto, which, as I say, for most types of panorama images where you're stitching photographs together, auto will work best. But let's address the blending issue as we did in the first image example. Just double check again to make sure we've got all the layers selected. If I go to the edit menu and choose the auto blend layers option, again I don't want to choose stack images, I need to choose the panorama method. I'll click OK to that, and then Photoshop will start to calculate the blend for all those layers that are currently selected. And here is the finished result. If I just close down the layers panel here, you can see that we've now got rid of the edges that we saw in the photograph beforehand. And if I just zoom out from there, I might want to select the crop tool now to just finish off the image by just cropping the edges out. Hit enter there. Let's go to full screen mode, get rid of the rulers, hide the panels on the side and just enlarge that up. And there is the finished panorama image, which I created this time using the cylindrical projection mode rather than auto. So I hope that gives you a bit of food for thought and some ideas on how to work with photomerge. You have the images there to use that are on the DVD for the first example that I showed you, and also full instructions contained in the book in chapter 9.